angry cows, spotty cows, metal cows. Today I'm going to see if I can survive a campaign as an army of beef. And of course this army can only be led by one man-bull, Taurox. And full disclosure, many elves will be harmed in the making of this video. It's gonna be great. So we start this campaign with an army of farmyard animals, but we only need the top Brahmin. This will of course make my army just like the contents of your underwear, small but powerful. I also get this free goat, but he's no good because he's not a cow. So we'll use him as an agent though to scout ahead for us. Rolling on to our first settlement, we're going to sort that out and turn it into a herdstone to get the herdstone ball rolling. Because you see, we need to get marks of ruination because the beastmen don't pay for their units, but you do have to pay for the unit caps. And I can't upgrade the unit caps for minotaurs until I get 100 marks of ruination, which basically means I need to run around raising up settlements to get those marks of ruination when I perform the ritual from the nearby herdstone. As I just about finished taking this province here off Clark-Harond, they come back on me and my herdstone with a battle that I have to fight that I honestly don't think I can win. Although I do somehow manage it with the power of Centaur. I try to make sure their missiles can't shoot at me with the Centaurs, and that seemed to just about win me this battle. I then get the offer of a free Gorbel or goat hero. And obviously we're going to take the Gorbel because cow, and it's another unit to add into our army. Shortly after taking out our starting Dark Elf faction, Silostra comes along and declares war on us, so we've got some vampirates to deal with. But I've been using my scout hero to keep an eye on her army so we don't run into them, because being such a small army, I do have to be very careful. I do have the hidden encampment stance though, so I can stay hidden a lot of the time. Eventually Silostra does attack my herdstone, but I've already done the ritual at this point, so I don't really care if I lose, it doesn't really matter. I'm obviously not going to win this battle, but I am going to try and kill off at least some of the units to make those armies weaker. I kill off some Syrenes here, I think I kill a Carronade, a few other bits that does help in the long run. Now I start to make my move, attacking some Silostra settlements, and my Gorbel manages to level up, but I realize, hey, he's got a pretty fucking stupid name. What the hell is a Mudgeab? So I give him the only name you could give a large cow, Big Phil. I'd also been putting Taurox's skill points into hoofed heavyweights to begin the buffing up of my cows. Eventually I am able to get a second lord, so a Doomball to travel around with my main army. Nice. Once again, someone's given my cow a stupid name, this time probably a Welsh one, fucking Afwub. So we'll give him a much more respectable name, Michael Johnson. Full-on war then breaks out with the vampirates as they come at me, Silostra herself trying to push my herdstone once again. This time though I'm able to fend her off just about. And as we push through her lands, we come into a bunch of battles at her settlements and with armies. In this one, the enemy army is split up into two, so I can run up the hill and take out everything that's up here first, and then boogie on back down the hill to take out the second part of their army. So battles like this, it was quite easy when you could break the army apart. Otherwise, if I had to face a full army all at once, it very often had a lot of missiles, and I had to try and disrupt those. Otherwise, they would just gun down my Minotaurs towering above the puny zombie men. So Taurox, Michael Johnson, and Big Phil were usually on the disrupting, while all the Minotaur units took down all their crappy infantry. So I was laying waste to Silostra's lands, building up those marks of ruination for the ritual as well so I could get towards unlocking more Minotaurs. I was using block army a lot as well with my goat hero, that was helping out. During this time as well, Alith Anar came and decided to declare war on me, so there's some elves I got to bash down. Eventually I had to do the ritual here because I felt a bit worried that this large army was going to come and take out my herdstone before I got to do the ritual, so I went ahead and did it anyway, lest I lose those marks of ruination. I then proceeded on to absolutely massacre what remained of Silostra's faction and completely get rid of them so we could look for somewhere new to get lots of marks of ruination. I also figured because I have such a small army right now, if I can make each individual unit more powerful, that's going to help a lot. So with this banner, I can get a direct damage spell, physical resistance, terror. That's going to make one of my units way more effective. I arrived back in my herdstone settlement just in the nick of time as there seems to be a high elf army just on the way to come and get me. I set Michael Johnson to ambush to try and get him, but he fucked it up, which is annoying because this army is mostly shadow walkers and thus this would have been way easier with an ambush. Coming into this one though, I know I can't just run straight at them. They've got too many missiles. They're skirmishing missiles as well, so they're going to shoot me while I chase them. I decide to use this little passageway to my right that leads around to the trees because I figure I can do it just like real life cows do and attack from the trees. My boys are lined up here, that's my infantry, some more infantry here and the Minotaurs in those trees, and then I've got Centaurs on the far side. The plan is to send in the infantry and cavalry first to try and tie up some of the missiles, and then I'll send in the Minotaurs when there's a little less chance of them being shot to pieces. I launch this plan and the farmyard animals come flying out the woods. These of course are kind of expendable units to me because they're a garrison, they'll replenish anyway. My Minotaurs, I've only got a handful of them. I need to be very careful. If I lose a unit of Minotaurs at this point, it's going to make life much more difficult in this campaign. Overall, the plan does work pretty well, as Shadow Walkers aren't great in melee. They're not terrible, but probably on par with some of the crappy Beastmen infantry. I have my Centaurs harassing and a little bit of Hammer and Anvil as well. Michael Johnson's getting stuck in, even with low health. He's having a great time killing elves, because who wouldn't? Eventually, the elves start to wane and waver. We get a lot of them routed off. I get Taurox going after a Lithanar, although I think it's a Lithanar. It might be his double. Who knows? But it's a mostly tidy victory all the same. With this victory, I now get a skill point, which is going to be incredibly important to my cow army. That is the Gore Feast ability. This gives all my cows Gore Feast and Gore Greed, which both regenerate health for them. Gore Feast does it when they're in melee, and Gore Greed does it after they've killed a few enemies. They'll get a passive heal even when they're out of combat. So all in all, this will eventually give me a full army of healing Minotaurs. It sounds lovely. And if that doesn't make them brutal enough, I've got Big Phil's skill point to use as well as a Gore Ball. He can get either an area buff to armor and missile resistance, an area buff to melee attack, so that's going to make all the Minotaurs around him do more damage. There's also one for hero actions, but we don't care about that. It doesn't affect our Minotaurs. But this one gives fear and terror to the hero's army. So every Minotaur unit will cause terror. That is ridiculous. So obviously I'm going to take it. I then move into a Lithanar's land to prepare to assault his kingdom, but about now I've just unlocked the Kalkengard Larder technology, which gives Vanguard deployment to all of my Minotaurs and a charge bonus as well, and I'm going to start on Rampage to give them weapon strength. They are starting to get pretty damn beefy, so to speak. Now as we're chilling in the forest, both armies in hidden encampment stance, we get an ambush on one of their small armies as they're moving around, but then they get an ambush on Michael Johnson by himself. Oh, scheisse. So we're going to do what any brave cow would. Run away! Run away! Run away! Run away! I try to get Michael Johnson the hell out of there. I run to the escape zone as quickly as possible, hit the withdraw button, and he does actually manage to escape before any of the enemy army is able to reach him. So old Mike gets lucky there, but then Taurox gets ambushed as well. Double scheisse. But, you know, this is a little less daunting because Taurox is getting pretty powerful now in his own right, not to mention the backing of regenerating Minotaurs. But luckily for us in this one, the enemy's done the dum-dum and split their army in two, which makes easy pickings for us. They've got a few good units in this army, so I'm going to try and destroy it as much as possible, get rid of those White Lions, those Shadow Walkers, those Eagles, because now this army won't have much left, so it shouldn't be any more problems for us on the campaign map. Now, just as I'm starting to feel like I'm running out of elves to kill, the Sisters of Stupid Fucking Elves, or whatever they're called, decide to declare war on me, and I am more than happy to oblige. As I've now raised a herdstone in the center of all these settlements as well, I'm going to start absolutely destroying everything around to get all those marks of ruination, which ends up giving me a tasty 44 ritual to complete. That puts me 79 on the way to the 100 that I need to get to recruit more Minotaurs. Now at this point, I've been moving my way through Nagaryth lands to finally finish them off here at Karond Kar. I drew them out of the settlement to fight me in the open field, but it was actually quite a tough fight because they did have a lot of missiles, so I was having to constantly try to disrupt those while trying to kill all the melee units. It was quite a micro-intensive one, trying to move my units around constantly. And with that pretty much marks the end of the Nagaryth faction as we raze this to the ground and their existence along with it. Through this time, the Sisters have been and destroyed one of my herdstones, so I come on back and reclaimed it. My Bray Shaman has been blocking armies aplenty, but I came to realize that his name was Bray Burner, and I needed to give him a proper name, so I gave him something similar, Uncle Bernard. Perfect. I also recruited a new Gorbel whose name was fucking Execute. I told him, I can't pronounce that shit, what do you want to be called instead? He said, Juan. With our new Mexican Gorbel in tow, we set up an ambush and managed to catch the nearby Wood Elf army, swiftly putting them in the bin and getting rid of the Sisters for a while, also getting 10 more marks of ruination from this herdstone. I then smashed my way through the Sisters' kingdom, eventually getting to their stupid little tree and making a herdstone of that, which would give me 10 marks of ruination, leaving me one short. So goddammit, I need to do something to get that 1 mark of ruination. I happen to find a nearby Wood Elf army, and that is going to be my target. If I can take them down, I'll get a couple more marks of ruination, and 1 is enough, so this should do it. I'm going to fight the battle. It's pretty much a messy smash fest, so we get that done. That gets us 2 marks of ruination, which is enough to get over that 100 threshold, and now we can finally recruit Minotaurs. Oh, it's gonna get messy. I've been saving up Dread, the little currency I have to use to pay for these, so I can get a bunch of upgrades straight away. So this allows me to start piling on Minotaurs. I can get 3 of each of the different types. I can also get the Regiment of Renowned Butchers of Kalkengard now as well. So everybody's fucked. I then continue on smashing the last of these wood elf settlements. Juan then levels up and reaches that ability where I can increase the melee attack of nearby friendlies, so we're taking that. I then find one of the last wood elf armies trying to make a play for my herdstone with its full stack. I then roll up on it, Taurox gets an ambush, and you know I gotta fight it just for the pleasure of killing elves. My boys come charging out the trees, ready to absolutely massacre, and my army at this point is getting pretty damn scary. Not only is it just a full army of minotaurs with armor piercing, some anti-large, they are regenerating, they all cause terror. As you can see, all this stuff is just running away straight away. They've got the Vanguard deployment and stat boosts. They're just an absolute nightmare. I try to make a circle of minotaurs, a little ring, and draw the sisters down into a 1v1 with Taurox, but they don't want it, sadly. I then track down their final remnants, eliminate them, and there's another elf faction removed from existence. You're welcome, world. Now with this big powerful cow army, I decided to take it worldwide because I'm bored of this area. Let's do some traveling and see what destruction we can cause. So I jump in a couple of sea lanes and see where they lead, send in Uncle Bernard to scout ahead for us, eventually leading us to the wealthy shores of Cathay, which just so happened to be controlled by, would you believe it, elves. More elves to kill. This is the best campaign I've ever played! I begin my assault on Fu Chao, currently controlled by the Blessed Dread, Lockhear Fellheart of course. I then begin sweeping through his lands, running into some of his armies, getting ambushes all over the place, and that's another big thing that's making this army incredibly powerful, is the Beastmen mechanics with the ability to hide in the hidden encampment a lot of the time. That helps you keep safe, and then you can ambush stuff when you attack it. Couple that with the regenerating terror-causing Vanguard deploying army, and it's pretty heckin' disgusting. Now, while I'm having a merry old time destroying this western coast, turns out all of Lockhear's armies seem to be in the south, so they come back up, one of them taking my Fu Chao herdstone that I just made, which at this point don't really matter that much because I don't need Marks of Ruination anymore. But I come back down south, set up a few ambushes, get one of their armies here, nice easy clean takeout of them. But what do you know, they got two more armies just around the corner and they both come at me. I'm unable to ambush them because I already just did so. We got to take on these two armies. We're not quite in full health either, so here's going to be our first test. Our boy Michael Johnson silently hides in the trees. Because he's the solo lord that got attacked, he's got to wait for the reinforcements because he's all on his lonesome and the enemy is out looking for him. So I'm going to keep him hidden for now until the reinforcements arrive, or at least get nearly here, because they're a fair old ways away. They're coming in over here. Eventually, Lucky Mike makes a break for it to try and get to them, but he's got a fair old distance to cover. The reinforcements are here, though, as are the enemy's reinforcements, which actually happen to be nearby, which is incredibly unfortunate for them, because we can smash this reinforcing army before the main army has any idea what's happening. Now, Lucky Mike Johnson did manage to make it to some other Minotaurs, but Lockhear's dragon was nipping at his heels all the way, so he lost a lot of health by the time he reached the friendly Minotaurs, but at least he survives. The reinforcing army is getting absolutely decimated, but with my cow fear and terror and them being right next to the edge of the map, it doesn't take long for them to rout off. And then it's just finishing off that starting army, which slowly trickled up and got gradually destroyed. So 3 Lockhear armies killed off there. I nearly lost a couple of Minotaur units, but not quite. I then go on a tear through a whole bunch of Lockhear's territory, destroying everything as we go. And at this point, it's where I'm starting to get a little bit bored because, well, I'm just too good. Nothing can seem to stop me. It's decisive victories if I face an army 1v1. I'm just absolutely murdering everything. And I kind of feel like I need a goal. I need something to aim at. So I decide to go for the greatest goal of all: death. I'm going to charge into the worst possible situations and try to see if I can get this army to die. But of course, when I fight the battles, I am going to try and win, but I'll seek out the worst possible situations and dive into them and see what happens. It's also worth noting that all my herdstones have been destroyed, so if my armies die now, it's campaign over. I start to make my way through central Cathay, raising up more settlements as I go, running into a few more Lockhear armies that are easily dispatched. And I'm thinking that there's not really a lot of chance that Dark Elves are going to be able to take me down, so I'll raise up a few more of their settlements, make a little bit of money along the way as well, because I can get some nice income, and then start moving west towards where Cathay would be, but it looks like all the Cathay factions have been wiped out. It's all chaos over here. Nangao is controlled by Village, and you might be wondering, hey, why isn't Michael Johnson with Taurox anymore? Well, he's got his own little army. We've sent him out into the world on his own. Honestly, I'm trying to kind of get him to die so I don't have to worry about his army anymore and I can just focus on Taurox, but I don't want to let him go down that easy, so he's still going to fight until he dies. Eventually his army does get ambushed by Villach's forces. When it's pretty beaten up, I try to fight it off. It's going well to start with until I realize there's a reinforcing army as well. But this is Lucky Mike Johnson they're messing with here, who does manage to survive that onslaught and escape, gets himself into a hidden encampment, and maybe, just maybe, can live to fight another day. Now Taurox I've had pushing west into the mountains, looking for anybody to challenge him. I find Kolek's faction and declare war on them, hoping that they'll bring a bunch of armies on me. But alas, nothing seems to appear, so I just push through his lands, take a few settlements, and then I remember, hey, the Chaos Dwarfs are a thing, and they're probably still a little bit OP as a faction, because they're the latest one. So if anyone's going to be able to stop me, it's probably them. So I head for Zarna Grund, as they've got a nice big settlement I can sack for some money too. The garrison here, though, is mostly gobos, so not much chance of that having any impact on me. But then I do find at Zarna Grund itself, they've got a full stack, so if we could take that on with the garrison, that could be a good test. But alas, the army comes out by itself to fight me, although it can beat me apparently with auto-resolve, although it's got 6 Dreadquake mortars, a couple of destroyers, a bunch of other strong stuff. But with my Vanguard deployment, I'm straight on top of this army before they have really time to fire those Dreadquake mortars very much, and they're not even that good against monstrous infantry anyway. So we get all over those very, very quickly, and those pretty much become rendered useless. The 2 destroyers come in together, I have to charge into them and meet them with Minotaurs. I send over all my 3 Gorbals and Taurox to deal with them as well. Their infantry didn't really stand much of a chance, especially any of the ranged stuff, so the Chaos Dwarves not able to get anywhere near stopping me. I then pushed on to Zarna Grund itself, whose garrison wasn't really anything special, so this was pretty much a slaughter as well, and we made a tidy 44 grand. From there I pushed north and thought I might find Astrogoth with a proper Chaos Dwarf army, but instead I found Ungrim, who I also declared war on because I thought maybe he might have a shot at taking me down, but he didn't really have any dangerous armies in this vicinity. I found Astrogoth as well, he didn't have any armies. So I carried on smashing my way north and eventually found Archaon, who's often a very strong lad. And after raising a couple of his settlements, I ran up in his face and there was a stack and a half that came at me. But they weren't really anything special. A lot of them got crushed pretty early. I took out their first army before the second one even arrived and waited for it. So Archaon, seemingly no match for the unstoppable cows. Michael Johnson had clawed or hoofed his way back from near death, only to get ambushed by Morskaven, which I just decided to auto-resolve. I'll let the gods decide his fate, and they decided, oh, you're lucky, Mike. Have a Pyrrhic victory, sir. Oh, you need some more luck? How about you get attacked by a village army when you're about to die, but you're able to just about escape and once again live to fight another day. I cannot get these goddamn armies killed. After Archaon couldn't give us the sweet death we need, I decide to try out Nurgle. Maybe the Facundites have got a nice big army for me. I go and raise up their main settlement, Brass Keep, to try and get their attention, and they eventually come back on me with... pathetic. I then find that Carcassonne is knocking around. They seem to be moving in. They've got a few armies around. Let's see if they can do anything to us. I mean, it's Bretonia. I'm not really expecting much, but we'll give them a shot. They come at me with 2 full stacks, and I figure, no, they're probably not going to be able to do this. Bretonia, honestly, you know, you're Bretonia. No. You're not going to do it. Come on. I Vanguard deploy on them, get straight up in their face, start making a big flank with a whole bunch of Minotaurs. Their first army is thoroughly destroyed before the second one even gets anywhere near. And then the second army does arrive and it sends all its cavalry in first by itself, full-on Game of Thrones style, and then it's just the infantry left, which obviously has no hope. So Bretonia, not the ones to be able to take us down. God damn it, is it hard to die when you're a regenerating Vanguard deploying terror-causing cow. Anyway, I run around this area a little more, raise a few more places up. Michael Johnson gets into some Skaven with his brand new army that he's just spawned up once again. And at some point, he gets a little ambush on one of those village armies. Cool, that's a Pyrrhic victory. We'll just take the auto-resolve. That's a nice, easy victory. But, we've been ambushed now. Michael Johnson's death, will it finally come? Auto-resolve gods! Michael Johnson is no more. Sleep well, sweet prince. Okay, 1 army down. 1 to go. At this point, I was trying to think of where I could go to try and get Taurox killed, and then I remembered that horrible place called Athol Loren, which is always hard to try and invade, but then I had a dilemma. I could easily charge into the middle of Athol Loren, and I'd probably be attacked by 5 armies and die. That would be easy. I couldn't let elves kill me, though. Come on. Did you really think I was going to let elves kill me? What I will do, though, is give them a chance to try and take me down. I'm going to try and take them down at the same time, try and clear Athol Loren of elves, and if they happen to get me, they get me. As I started to make my moves towards Athel Loren, I managed to get an underway interception on one of Durthu's armies. Now I set up a front line at a bit of an angle here to draw all their infantry in, and then there would be this big gap on the left where this little flanking force could come and get into their back line of missiles, which is the most dangerous part of any Wood Elves army usually. This plan seems to work a treat as most of their stuff heads towards my front line, giving me a free pass to get after those missiles at the back, and as you can imagine, slaughter ensues. Durthu and Ariel were both alive though. They gave me a little bit of trouble in getting rid of them, but that's one army in Athel Loren dealt with. I then proceeded on to take down their stinking tree, and that was one of them down. Arguelon then left their other tree unattended, and that was 2 down. I raised a herdstone here just as a bit of a distraction for enemy armies, and I moved on to Kingsglade as that had been left undefended. So a bonkin for that place. And if you're wondering how the hell I'm surviving this and not getting attacked by all these armies at once, it's because when I go into ambush stance, I get anywhere between 85% to 100% ambush chance, which basically means they can't fucking find me. So I was always able to fall back and replenish and engage on my terms when I wanted to, such as the Oak of Ages here, which has now been left undefended. But while I was destroying them and killing elves left, right and center, I wasn't really getting anywhere because they were just reclaiming the settlements all the time, and eventually I had to make the tough decision to stop killing elves and move on. I'd given them enough of a chance to try and kill me. It wasn't happening. I got a nice easy rampage out of this at least. So I underway my way straight out of Athel Loren and straight into the arms of 3 mother heckin' Carcassonne armies. Look at this. Perfect. Beautiful. Please come and kill me. I am ready to die. It's Bretonnians though, so I probably won't. I give them their second shot to take me down, and they do indeed take it and come after me. They've got 3 full stacks, a lot of good units in there, some Grail Knights, some good cavalry, Hippogriffs, Pegasus Knights, good stuff. Although, look at the map, there's no way I'm going to fight 3 armies on this horrible Underroots map. So I retreat and hope for a better map, and I get the perfect map for a potential final big battle against 3 armies. Beautiful. We Vanguard deploy in a big single line ready to envelop them, but they got a lot of mobility here. They got Pegasus Knights, Hippogriff, a lot of anti-large in there, some Grail Knights. These are the kind of units that could put us away. Not quite literally though. They could beat us down enough. Of course, this first army by itself was never going to beat us, but when the reinforcements come, maybe we'll be too beaten down to deal with them. I deal with that first army and line up the boys again, ready for the second and third army, but those armies go Game of Thrones again and send in all the cavalry first by itself, which allows me to much more easily beat it up than if all the infantry was on top of me too. They did have a fair amount of trebuchets coming in, but I had 1 unit of Minotaurs go over and sort them out, and then from there it was pretty much what you'd expect from Minotaurs versus Bretonnian infantry. They didn't last very long, they got terrorized. It was no good. They could not stop us. I have also been just standing around at the end of battles until all the enemies have run off so that I can get all the regeneration possible from the Gorgreed ability. So once again, the French have failed to take me down. They killed a couple of my units off, but I can quickly recruit those again, so it's not a big deal, but still pretty damn unstoppable. From here, I head south and look for maybe some greenskins or dwarfs, I think. Maybe they've grown large and I can get them to kill me. Eventually, I underway to the Badlands and finally, some Karaz Akarak. Looks like they're doing well. There's 2 stacks right here. One of them is Thorgrim himself. When I get a little closer, oh, there's 3 stacks right there. Yes, give them to me. Bring me death. And genuinely, I was getting annoyed with this campaign at this point because I wanted to die. I wanted this campaign to end so I could make the video. I've got enough footage. I don't need to do this, but I said I'm going to play until I die, so here we are, but nothing could kill me. God damn it. Come on, dwarves. Please, put me down. I'm going into this one Vanguard deployed. I expected them to be right in front of me. I was going to get a big flank on them, but look, it's a multiplayer battle apparently because they're corner camping. Classic dwarfs. The reinforcement times on a lot of these battles I've been fighting is over 2 minutes, which is quite a long time, and thus I'm able to get all over these first armies before the rest even arrive. I think that's Lightning Strike coming into play there. Gonna get all over these cannons, these missiles and stuff. Gonna do absolutely nothing early, as is this first army. But like I said, as long as they can wear me down a bit for their second and third armies, maybe they can do it. But as you can see here, they're routing off pretty quick from all the terror, and my health bar's not really too affected. I have a few units waiting for their reinforcements as they arrive and jump all over them. They don't really do a great deal either. I think it's the terror just routes them straight back off the map. I then have this weird situation where the battle's not ending, but I've seemingly killed pretty much everything and I don't really get it. And then I realize there's still some reinforcements to come in, but they're not actually coming in because I'm stood so close to where they come in. So I run back a little and hey, there they are. Which also makes me realize, hey, I think I just discovered some cheese that you can just stop reinforcing armies from getting into the map. But either way, they obviously died quickly and I'm still alive. And you might be saying, well, why didn't you just let the reinforcements in and then you'll face 3 armies at once and then you'll definitely die? Well, I don't want to definitely die by just lying down and letting them kill me. I'm going to play the way I normally would to win, and I want them to naturally beat my army without me gifting it to them. Anyway, the search continues, and Uncle Bernard managed to find a good few stacks of lizard men and thought maybe they could do it. So we headed on down there, tried to set up to let them attack us with all the stacks they could. And they came at us with this nonsense, which apparently was supposed to give us only a Pyrrhic victory, but they had a lot of skinks. I knew they wouldn't last 2 seconds. They had a bunch of Kotals, they wouldn't last 2 seconds. So I just took the auto-resolve and depressingly carried on with my campaign. I then noticed, Skarbrand, of course. I walked straight past him. He's got a couple of armies right there. This could be it. Maybe the Blood God can free me from life. At this point, I was ready to declare that this army was unkillable. I'm nearly at turn 200. This was my last shot at dying. Can Skarbrand put me in the ground or make me into burgers, whatever he wants to do? I'm just going to stand here in front of him, declare war, and let him come at me. And of course, the Blood God sends him my way for my cow blood. He's got overall about 2 full stacks. Can it put a stop to my seemingly unkillable cow army? The sky was blood red in this one. Could it be a sign of what's to come? We engaged them in a single line of charging beef, smashing into their infantry, which should be no problem for our armor-piercing big boys. I try to get Taurox in a one-on-one with Skarbrand, which I do for a little bit until some damn bloodthirster arrives. I get a Gorbel involved to even the fight. We crush their starting army of infantry pretty easily, routing it all away, terrorizing it as we always do. Lots of room on the left to flank, lots of room on the right to flank. We're setting up to come around and get after those reinforcements that are coming in straight behind them. Taurox is having a whale of a time with 4 bloodthirsters wailing on his face, but it's made of metal. It's fine. We're pretty comfortably smashing our way through their reinforcements, still healthy over on the right-hand side, but there's still more coming. There's quite a lot there. Some halberds, some stuff to worry about. Our Mino boys fight hard, though, taking down every bit of infantry they come across. There is a hell of a lot of bloodthirsters. There's one of the demon lords there. Could it be about to happen? We still got some troops on the right. Taurox is still holding on in the center with a couple of Gorbals, but he's not really getting a lot of damage done on all these bloodthirsters. There's a bit of a sea of red just coming for us as well. Could it be? Finally, there it was. Defeat. He even chased us down, finished us off, and there it was. The sweet release of death. Never have I been so happy to see a defeat screen. It was Khorne. It's Khorne all along. Khorne's the one who could stop us. I should have known. I should have gone straight to Khorne and asked him, look, can you put me in the ground? Stupid. But there we go. Cows are pretty much unkillable unless you really try hard to actually get them killed. Then they'll die. Otherwise, there we go. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. And hey, you want some more of this stuff? I got bears. I got ghosts. Go have a look. Thanks to all the patrons who support this channel. I will see you in the future.